Today, we are excited about the topic that we have. If you missed it on last week, you missed an awesome topic. We had the men on here just showing out with the ladies, and we had to endure it. We had to endure it. But tonight, we're talking about what men want. Yep, what men want. So last week I was trying to share, and my best friend, she was trying to help me out, but I was just all in left field. But I was trying to share with you that the tables have turned. It used to be, you always heard that there were more, help me get it right.
You always heard that there were more women than men.
That's right, that there are more women than men. And okay. I don't know if anybody else has heard that. Anybody in the studio, have you heard that you've always heard there are more women than men, right?
No.
At one time.
No.
At one time, I even heard that there were 5 women to 1 man. We were 5 to 1 at one point.
Right. Okay, I heard somebody else.
Someone else said no.
Yeah.
I always heard that it was more men than women.
Really?
This is the first time I'm ever hearing there was more women than men.
Are you serious?
Wow.
I'm serious.
In the U.S.? In the United States?
Yes.
Okay, well, what I have found, and I'm like my bestie, she was saying she's always heard that the news is the newsflash. Yeah, exactly. For all those ladies out there who have heard, you should be thankful you can even find a man. I've heard you should be thankful that you can even find a man, because there are not enough to go around to all you women. Well, newsflash, that has changed.
That has changed.
It has. And you want to know about
in recent years?
Yeah, since 1957. Since 1957, do you want to know how many more men there are than women now? Take a guess.
I do. Yes, I want to hear this.
Take a guess. Go ahead, take a guess.
2 to 1.
There are 69 million.
Oh my.
More males than females in the world. It's actually more than 69 million. Y'all know dog. I'm so sorry. Hold on, everybody.
He just wants to be part of the show.
Luke wants his time. He wants his air time.
Yeah.
Look, that dog hasn't barked. My dog has not barked within the last hour. And when we go live, he decides to make all that racket. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, but anyway, let's see. Hold on. Okay, so yeah, there's 69 million. Actually, it's 69,455,000.
Wow.
So
then, with that in mind, you're saying that we shouldn't have any problems finding.
They should have the pick of the litter.
All right, there you have it.
So that kind of changes things, in my opinion. So no matter what people tell you, if you ever hear that again, you tell them, no, that's not the case, according to the UN. And not only that, but that's not going to be the case for a long time in the future. Now, here's the thing. Some people would probably say, okay, well, what age range is that? Is that the age range where women are wanting to have husbands and where they're wanting to get married? That age range around what? I think it's, what age do most women want to get married? In their early 20s?
I was going to say about 22. That's not my suggested age, but I think that it's from 22 to 40.
Yeah, exactly. And the truth of the matter is, yes, there are more men in that age category than there are women.
Wow.
It doesn't start changing slightly until, you start getting towards 60-ish, 70-ish, 80-ish. Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, that's different now. And I don't know how the men feel about that, but I just want you all to know the tables have turned, and now you're the ones who need to be concerned about whether, and I'm just teasing, I'm really just teasing, but yeah, ladies, so now that's a whole new paradigm shift. But the truth of the matter is, irregardless to the fact that if there are more men than women or there are more women than men, the truth of the matter is the men that are out there, they want certain things. And if you are wanting to be in a relationship, you need to decide what type of relationship you want to be in. And my moderator, if you don't mind, mute everybody because I keep hearing background noises. If you don't mind doing that. And of course, for those who are in the studio, if you want to say something, just let us know, and the mics we'll adjust the mic so that we can hear you. But the thing that was interesting on last week, we were talking about, if you want a man, how to get the man you want, or how to get a man, not just any man, but the man you want. That was so good. I really wish we could talk about that again. There were some folk that were on there with us last week, and they were they were throwing some jewels out there. Because my heart,
that's right.
I'm telling you, they were throwing some jewels out there, and my heart really does go out. And the reason that we're doing this topic on This Everyday Life Unscripted, it's about real people, real life, real talk. We talk about all kinds of things on this show, This Everyday Life Unscripted. And one of the reasons I wanted to pursue this is, one, I was asked if we could do this live so that we could get more people involved in the conversation. And so, we agreed to do that. But my goodness, I wasn't expecting all the wonderful comments and things that were said. One thing I do want to touch on, and I'm hoping that he's on here tonight. We had a gentleman that was sharing with us that, he said something about a snowman.
Yes, he said. It sounds like he's here. Would you say it for us?
He said something about a snowman. I'm like, what? I've never heard that before. What was that? What was that you said about the snowman?
Some women.
Huh? What was it?
Go ahead.
A lot of women, they have been trained that you need to get a man, any kind of man, as long as he's a man. That old Paulson pants prayer, that they do. Send me a man. And then some say a snowman is better than no man. But what they don't realize is that things heat up. The snowman is going to melt. He's going to be gone, and then you're going to be here by yourself.
He is going to melt away, and you end up. And you know what? It was also mentioned, and I don't know if you were the one that said it or not, but you were talking about, sometimes women, if a man comes by and he shows attention, and she gets excited about that someone's showing her attention, he's willing to take her out, willing to do all these things, and she's just head over heels. And really doesn't know a whole lot about him. We talked about some of these things, but we also want to encourage you. It's nothing wrong with wanting someone. There's nothing wrong with that, but you got to be real careful today. Before you start inviting people to your house, and before you start, inviting people around your children, you need to know what you're dealing with. In fact, I encourage you, get a background check, especially if you have children, before you start inviting people around your children. So we've heard so many awful things in the news about children who have been hurt and abused by someone that's not even their father. So yeah, just having any man is not the best philosophy to go by. And I don't know if anybody else has any comments or thoughts that they want to share on that, but I just thought that was so interesting what he said in regards to the fact that, a snowman. I mean, I've never heard that before. I really wish he could break that down and tell us what that means, because I've never heard that before.
I was just thinking that also when you start dating, male or female, there's some signs, character signs that you see along the way. Don't ignore the signs. You
mean like those red flags?
Those red flags.
Those red
there's some that
flags
are
people be throwing on the
Yeah.
field and you're ignoring them. Yeah.
right. I mean, even pay attention to the yellow ones.
Oh,
Yeah, you got to pay attention to the yellow ones, but the red definitely, you know, really pay attention to the reds.
absolutely. Absolutely. So we're talking about red flags, yellow flags, snowmen, no men. We're talking about it all tonight. But the truth is, again, my heart really does go out because there are a lot of women that are good women out there that are looking for a nice man. But here's what I wanted to say. Some women want a good man, but they're not willing to do what it takes to get a good one. And of course, good, but everybody has their own definition of what good is. And depending on the type of man that you want, depends on the type of bait that you put out there. If you're going to be putting out some bait. You know, there are some children whose mama teaches them, you know, this is what you need to do if you want to get a man. This is how you need, this is what you need to do. This is what you need to say. This is what you need to dress. And we're going to talk about that tonight. I want to know from the men that are on here, is some of this stuff true? Because I have heard so many things about what men want. Oh, I think someone has a comment. If you do, remember you have to, let me see, moderator, I don't know, but I think somebody has a comment. I don't know if you can see.
Okay, they'll need to unmute themselves.
Yeah, you have to unmute yourself if you have a comment. Feel free to go right ahead if you do. We'll give you a few moments. Okay, I don't hear them. Maybe they're not unmuted. Okay. Well, if they unmute themselves, I'll go ahead and let them say something if they decide to unmute themselves.
So here's a question.
Okay, go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Why do so many women settle? You know, they're always taught, you know, they're princesses, they're queens.
They are queens.
So why do so many queens settle for peasants? And, you know, they don't even have a rank. They're just peasants. And so why do they settle? Are they under pressure? Because we do live in a society that is couple oriented.
Yes.
And if you're by yourself, you know, you're kind of like the oddball. It's almost like you have leprosy or something.
Oh, seriously?
So,
I was going to say, yes, I do agree. And sometimes it's a woman of a certain age.
Oh.
Okay. If you're not married by the time you are engaged in a serious relationship, by the time you're, let's say, 22, 23,
that's young.
People, that is young.
That's young.
And but the truth of the matter is, people will say, "Hey, I got somebody I want you to meet," or whatever, and they start trying to help you out because they don't want you to get to 25 or 27. And maybe the ages have changed a little bit, but not a whole lot.
And there lies the danger.
Right.
They have the pressure from family, from friends, from society. So that somebody now becomes anybody. And
you get desperate by the time you get closer to 30.
Wow.
And they have a life of misery.
Yes.
Well, let's talk about that. The pressure, why women feel the pressure to get married. And I get the people talk about the biological clock is ticking, and if you want to get married and you want to have a family, then you need to do that by a certain age. But we know that there are women who have waited longer to get married and to have children. You know, you hear now there are women in their 40s, 50s, even 60s. Who have had children. Now, again, I'm not saying that that's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm saying that
I'm not suggesting
Question
for the children. I'm not really suggesting that.
I know, but they are. I think someone has a question. Go right ahead. I think if you have a question, you have to unmute yourself because I thought I heard somebody. But
hello, can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, we hear you.
Can you hear me now? Okay, it used to be back in the day, there was a stigma attached to females who were not married by the age of 25. They were considered an old maid.
Oh.
And everyone trying to get married before 25. And it used to be, people were getting married at what? 13, 14, 15.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Now people are more educated, they're more knowledgeable, they're not that dependent on the male gender as they were then because they're well educated. So now, some strive to become married, get married before age 25, but now, women are independent now. But, some women just have not been taught. Some females have not been taught what to look for as far as choosing a mate is concerned. They don't know what quality is all about because of some misinformation that has been shared with them or no information. And with the family
a lot
structure,
of times no information.
Exactly. And with the family structure, the way it is today, there's more household headed by the female gender. I mean, they really don't, and it's so imbalanced, they don't know what to look for in a male because they've not seen it displayed in their home. What they see is outside. And another thing, the village is not there anymore. So just ladies, young girls, they do not have the example out there. They're comparing themselves to movie stars and what they do and how they get men. Yeah. But they're not living really in reality because they don't know what to
And
expect.
also nowadays people are getting married with the attitude of if it doesn't work. You've got some of the stars and others too, but since you mentioned that have been married for 2 weeks and they're divorced. I think I don't want to call it. Well, one lady was married 52 days, I think it was something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, they called it annulment. And I was like, yeah, that doesn't really fit the term, but okay. But, we just, everything now, there's no permanence. That death until death do we part.
No, you don't see a lot of that.
A strong part of the picture now. Because the examples that we have is that if it doesn't work, if it doesn't fit, I'll try another shoe, another man.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's interesting what you all are saying, and you mentioned the culture that we live in today, especially the culture of social media. You see all these programs on television, you see women being upset and angry and getting upset with the men and getting upset with women. You see them fighting, you see them doing all these things. And I was sharing with someone, we were talking, and I was like, you know what, those entertainers, those housewives on these programs, yeah, they may jump and fight each other, but they are back on the show next week. If you go out there trying that, you're going to end up in jail. It's not.
Well, and another
reality.
thing, when you bring those in, when you really, I've not seen the shows, I've seen excerpts of the shows, and it seems like it's always so much drama.
A lot of drama.
If that's a lifestyle that you're mimicking, you're really setting yourself up to fail. There's always drama involved.
Always drama.
And somebody's fighting or cursing somebody out or throwing things or talking about each other. Not exactly what I'd want my daughter to have for the rest of her life.
Well, you mentioned drama, and you're so right. And it's so sad that, and I hate to even say it, but it's so true, that it seems like people of color, they seem to.
I don't know. There's something.
No, I know.
Go ahead.
I know, but
all right, go ahead. Finish what you're saying. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. But a lot of men. Now, these are comments from men. Why are they always so angry? Why are they always so mad? Why when they come into relationships, they look so mad and they look so angry? And when we ask the question, what is it that a man wants? What type of woman does he want? Now, here's what I have to preface first. All right. There are different men are at different stages in their lives. Let's
For
first
women.
let's first clear that up. If a woman is wanting a man, it's probably not a bad idea to take a look at where he is in his life. Okay, so she, in my opinion, has to also know what kind of man do you want at this stage in your life. All right. So if you are that 19, 20, 21-year-old female and you're looking for a man, what kind of man are you looking for? You know, are you looking for someone to marry in the next couple of years? Are you looking for someone just to have fun with? What are you looking for? And it used to be back in the day, men just knew that practically all women, 99.9% of the women in the world on the planet were wanting to get married. That's something that men just knew women wanted to get married. All right. But now,
took it for granted.
But now women are different places in their life. Not every woman is wanting to get married, right? At age 20, 21. Some of them are wanting to play around. So my thing is, if you're looking for a man, what kind of man are you looking for? They're at different places in life. For instance, if they're if they're in high school, they haven't decided what they want to do, and they're still being taken care of. They're living at home. Is that the man you want to spend the rest of your life with? You know, how do you know what he's going to be or who he's going to be? You know,
let me throw this in on that part.
Yes.
Men are leaving home later in age now.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them are 30 and 35, still at home.
40, 40,
50, still at home with mama.
50.
And it's convenient. And let's say he does meet somebody. He's moving from his mother's house into, a relationship and starting a home. You got to look at what his expectations are.
Right.
And another 40 or 50.
Yeah. Exactly. Another thing that to go along with that, like I said before, households are headed by females only. You know how some females like holding on to their sons, and there's no male figure there, no male example there to help them to grow up and become independent. Also, another thing to look at is their educational level, their skill level, or they may not have the tools they need to make it on their own. And there's a lot of issues out there. There's self-esteem issues, a lot of mental health issues that one has to focus on before choosing a mate. There's so many issues you deal with. I mean, if you have skills, you can look at a person, you can watch their behavior or observe their behavior to determine whether or not there's a mental health or self-esteem issues going on there. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's a lot to consider. I mean, and for a lot of young people, they rely on flattery, and some males, they really know how to get to a person through flattery. And there's a phrase that goes along with flattery. They say it's like Swiss cheese filled with a lot of holes. There's no substance to it. And if you really don't know what a substance-filled life is all about,
you talk about their brain.
Instead of looking for
flattery is like Swiss cheese. I'm going to write that one down too. I love it.
Flattery is like Swiss cheese filled with holes.
Filled with holes.
Wow.
It could be a little bit of truth, but a whole lot of okay. It's just filled, empty.
But listen, and I know there's some men on here, but listen, here's so when you have a young girl, especially when young ladies who are just beautiful, just pure, innocent, just so. I hear you. Let me finish. When a man is that age, let's say for instance, high school. Most young ladies in high school, they're ready for a relationship. They are. and they're looking at their high school friends. They're looking at the guys on the basketball, the football team. You know, what is a man looking for typically at that age? And I know there's some men on here. What would you say to a young lady who is high school, getting ready to graduate? She is so in love. She wants to be in love with somebody. And he's telling her she's the best thing. She's beautiful. She's all these things. And she's looking for a serious relationship, committed relationship coming out of high school. Men, if there are any men on the line, what do you say to that?
Out of high school?
Yep.
I would ask her, what's the rush?
Yes.
You want to be in a relationship. You know how it is.
What's the just out of high school?
Are you talking about a serious relationship?
Most young girls that are coming out of high school, a lot of them want to be in a relationship. Yes, and so the question is, what does a man want? What is it that men want at that time?
A high school, graduating high school. What does he want?
Yeah, because we're trying to, I want them to know, okay, what does a man want? And again, I know it depends on what she's looking for, but the profile with this particular young lady, she's looking for someone, she's wanting a serious relationship. I think most young ladies, well, I shouldn't say that because things have changed, but a lot of young ladies are looking for serious relationships. When a guy tells her he loves her, she believes it.
Well, at that age, they're really trying to get out of the home because they may be under a lot of pressure with their parents and they just want to get out of the home. They want someone to take care of them.
Yes, yeah.
I think, to answer, and I really, men, please chime in. But I think at the high school level, everybody's looking at a lot of physical attributes.
That's true.
He's cute, she's cute, ooh, she's so fine, or whatever they use now. But, and you build a relationship on looks, or he makes me feel, what does he have to offer at high school? I'm just baffled.
No,
but I think that a lot of times it's physical attributes. I think that, I don't know. I'm lost.
You may be lost because you're not a man.
That's probably it. But the young men at that age level, when I talk to them, because I do a lot with youth, that's all they're talking about is her body.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you know what?
Again,
I think
that's going back
look
to
at it differently. Okay, go ahead.
Again, that's going back to the programming that I mentioned week after week. Young ladies are constantly built almost from the time they're able to walk and put that little baby doll in their hand.
Right.
Wow.
That, you need someone. And if the lady said earlier, because of our condition, we go back to Bible days, women had different value than men did. And if we go even further back to the beginning, when God created Adam was here with the animals. When God created Eve, there was always a man there.
I don't know why that's
so now,
that's deep.
Yeah.
Women have never existed without men, and maybe this is why they have this longing, this desire to be with someone. And a lot of men can say, okay, I'm okay with eating this TV dinner at home by myself or taking a trip by myself. Women have never existed without a man. And that's all the way back to the beginning. So could that be part of the problem?
Okay, according to biblical script, you're right that's what's written there. But I think women I think a lot of women do have a longing, to be in a loving and nurturing relationship, but that's not always what they get. And I think the reason that they don't get what it is that they're looking for is because they think sometimes that they are exactly what this man is looking for. And lots of times they're not. They're just not. And no one tells them that. It's like if you're interested in a man and he hasn't introduced you to his family in 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years, there's a problem.
There's a big problem.
There's a problem. And
There's a
men,
major one.
most men, okay, let's just take for instance the woman who's looking to get married. Let's just put it there. She's wanting.
Okay, but we're not looking at teenagers anymore.
We can move from teenage, but they are too, because some of them are looking to get married too. And like the young lady said, I thought it was great. Some of them are looking just to get out of the house. They're tired of being fussed at. They're tired of being yelled at. And they want to just get out of the house and be on their own. And that's a whole new show. That's a whole new show. But for the women who are really wanting to get married, and for the men who are on here, and of course the ladies who are in the studio, and you've been married, because I know we have some women in the studio who have been married for 50 years, or with their men 50 years or more, and 30 years and 20 years or more. I think that if you want to find out what a man wants and how to have a successful relationship, you should ask the ones who've had successful relationships. Or who are having successful relationships. And so for the men that may be on the line, and please don't forget to unmute yourselves, if a woman is really genuinely wanting to settle down and get married to a man that is established, that has his own home, his own car, he has his own money, and he's doing well for himself. A woman wants to marry that type of man. What is a man looking for in a woman to marry? Why would he even want to get, and I even asked, why does a man even want to get married? But what is it that men are looking for? What is it that a man like that wants? An established man that wants to get married?
Well, you mentioned a lot of good things there. And you mentioned the woman. In the spiritual life, sing a song that 99 and a half won't do.
That's right.
But when it comes to relationship, a lot of them settle for 30%, 20%, even 2%.
That's that loaf of bread he was talking about last week. Nothing in between, just the bread ends. And it's molded.
So here again, women, they actually, and I used to tell my friends all the time, they would argue with me. I said, you women, when it comes to relationship, you women, you all have a tremendous advantage.
Okay.
Because if you just be you, sincerely you, there's going to be a man that's going to come to you, as opposed to a man that has to go out and cast the net into the sea and pray that he get a mermaid and not an octopus or some crab. It's a totally different, Miss Moderator.
He said an octopus.
If she just be herself, the man that she wants will come to her. She doesn't have to fake it. She doesn't have to go into construction and all these things. If she just be herself, that man will come to her. The Bible said, no good thing will I withhold from them who walk upright.
Also, the Bible says that he who findeth a wife, a good, it's a good thing.
Okay, wait.
Wait a minute now. Let's go back further than that. I'm going all the way back to Genesis.
Oh Lord!
Okay, you're right.
Y'all are in the Bible. Y'all, we're going to church. Stay in the Bible right now.
God brought Eve to Adam. He didn't find her.
What?
God brought her to him.
Okay, but
that's right.
Well, can I say something, please? Okay, listen. I'm still an octopus. Y'all gonna have to. I gotta get past that.
The point is, nobody was deep sea fishing. Go ahead.
No, they fishing on the sand, something that's washed up shore. Picking up that type of thing.
Oh, just any old thing.
Just any old thing. Listen, though, I'm telling you right now, though, I'm not gonna lie. some of the folk that I have interviewed, and y'all know I've interviewed a lot of people, talked to a lot of people. That is basically what it seemed like. Some of them were saying that what they got was just something that washed up on shore, but because it looked so good, because the packaging was so good, they thought that it was worth taking home. And their mama told them, you don't need to bring that. You don't need to marry that. But they married him anyway, and had nothing but trouble after they said I do. So when he said stuff to just wash up, sometimes women, you don't want to be something that just wash up off the shore. And he said,
I like what you said there about parental counseling. That's good too, or parental input.
oh,
That's
absolutely.
a part of it too.
That is beautiful. And you know what? He said so many things that I don't want to leave, but that octopus, I could stay on that a while because that was funny.
No, that octopus.
But I'm going. he said an octopus. He correlated some women.
She's everywhere.
Okay, all right. But anyway, he also mentioned.
But you know what? Just talking about the octopus.
But wait.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm going to forget my thought. You know I will. You know I will. Okay, so listen. This is what I want you to listen. He said, you don't have to go and change yourself. He said, the man who wants you, you don't have to do anything to yourself. I thought that was powerful, and I really would love to stay there for a while but we don't have to, because my Betsy had something that she wanted to say.
Let me say this one thing.
Okay.
On that very point.
Okay.
I've been married for a number of years, and I've been truly blessed.
Yes, you.
I remember, there is nothing in the world. I dated a few people. And I can say they were good relationships prior to meeting my husband.
Mm-hmm.
And I was loved by those people. But the difference between him, one of the things that stood out is that he truly adored me. And there was nothing, it's just awesome to just feel that you can be who you are.
Yeah.
And be loved and adored for whatever that is. Whatever, the good, the bad, the ugly, he just loves me. After all these years, he loves me. And he shows me that in so many ways, every day. And it's just a blessing. It's comforting. It's I don't know. It's just a beautiful thing.
No, I completely agree with you on that. When you have been cared for and you have been loved and you have been nurtured, there's nothing like that feeling.
I am so in shock, I guess, in many ways, in the sense that I'm in awe, rather, not shock. That ideal is a part of my world.
And
I'm
that is
blessed.
possible. And it's possible.
Yes.
It's just that I believe, and the young lady mentioned it before, I just believe that sometimes women don't know what that look like. They don't know what it feels like. And I think you were blessed. I know I have been blessed because, one, I got to see what that looked like. I got to see with my family, with my parents. I got to see what it was like for someone to be married 50 years, over 50 years. And and that man, the way he treated my mother, there would be times I would be watching them and they didn't even know I was watching, and they've been married over 40 years. And I would be watching him, and sometimes he would just look at her and smile, and he would grab her hand and he'd kiss her hand.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh my goodness, after all these years. And they would have so much fun together. But was it perfect all the time? It wasn't. But what I learned was that somebody can love you in the good and the bad and accept you just the way you are.
Yes.
You don't have to go get butt injections. You don't have to get, unless you want it, if it's something you really want. But when somebody's telling you,
but not to keep it.
Right. But when someone's telling you, you would look better if you did this to yourself. I think that's what the gentleman was saying. And correct me if I'm wrong, that when the right person comes along, you're not going to have to do that kind of stuff to yourself, because it don't matter how white you are, how dark you are, how caramel you are, how red, yellow, blue, it doesn't matter. The person who will love you and respect you for who you are, they're going to love you and respect you for who you are. Period.
What a lot of Ms. Facilitator, excuse me.
No, go right ahead.
What a lot of women have to realize is that there's a market for everything. Some men like women that got a extra, that shop in the triple X section. Some men like ladies that are quite thin, skinny.
Yeah.
Some like them tall.
Mm-hmm.
Some like midgets. Some like dark. Some like light. Some like
people.
There is a market for everybody.
Little people.
That's true.
And when God puts you in a certain market, you don't need to jump in somebody else's market, somebody else's territory. You just stay in the market that God has placed you in. And someone's going to love you because there's a market for you.
Absolutely.
And another thing that women have to stop doing, young ladies, girls, and on up, they have to stop rewarding bad behavior.
Oh my goodness. That is so true.
I asked this guy, he's not up to his power, man, or whatever.
But he come knock on your door at 2:00 and you let him in the morning.
Yeah, why are you rewarding this bad behavior? You're egging this on. You're not making it better for yourself or anybody else. Do not reward bad behavior.
Now, when you say do not reward bad behavior, what do you mean exactly?
Don't give gifts to individuals that are not worthy of gifts.
That's a good point. That really is a good point. That's a good point. Now that's a good point. I think somebody's trying to talk, but you're muted, and I heard you at first, but then you went away. In
order to do that,
okay,
you must have standards that you govern yourself by. But if you have no standards, you will accept anything. Like flattery, you will accept flattery rather than being true to yourself and having the courage to stand up and let the people know, that you don't appreciate how they're being treated, or you just have to have standards. That's all I have to say. And where do you find those standards?
But I when you say standards, I think honestly there's a disconnect with a lot of people when you say standards.
I'm speaking of respect.
And
there's a list of things one must have that they live by, and if that person does not come close to that, that they're not the right person for you.
And sometimes you need to check your standards. I remember talking to a lady who felt that it was fine for him to hit her because to her that was love. That's what she saw as love. I don't know where she got it from.
Yeah, that's what I was speaking of.
I do know where she got it from. She grew up with it.
What do you mean she grew up with it? What do you mean by that?
She saw her dad hit her mom.
Oh.
And then she saw, them get together. And I listened to her and I was like, if he loves you, he's not going to hit you.
But go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
When she mentioned that hitting and everything, I remember growing up in my church, we had a deacon that was from down North Carolina, and he used to say, "You should never hit a woman." He said, "Because remember, if her father and her mother couldn't raise her, don't think you're going to do it. You're not going to do what the parents couldn't do, so there's no need of you doing that." And he said one other thing. Let me see what it is. Oh my goodness.
Let me see.
You might have to come back to me.
We are waiting.
No. He said one more thing. I'll be back once I think of it.
He said, "Let me see what it is." But you know what? I want to speak to that because I'm gonna tell you right now, you got some crazy people up in this world. And men who will slap women and hit women, but you have some women who will do the same to men. Because on one of my shows, we talked about men who were abused by women who were just crazy. And I know that sounds different, but yeah, there are men who have had to take out restraining orders on women too.
Oh, that
And
okay.
sometimes men will take it because they're ashamed to admit that they're being
They are,
battered and beat.
and that came out in the show. It did.
Yeah,
It
because
came out in the show.
oftentimes when it's reported, then the police is like, well, you let that little thing beat you with a
That's
what?
exactly what
You
was
know.
said. That's exactly what. Were you on?
You're a
you
man.
Wait, you weren't even on that show. So
Oh, well.
you're saying
You know,
everything that came out in the show. Really, you are.
so
You really are.
the old deacon from North Carolina, he also used to say that a man cannot go any further than a woman will let him.
Yeah.
Now that goes if he beats her, talks bad, mistreat her. She shouldn't stand for it. He only
That's
goes as
right.
far as she's going to let him go, and then you can take that as far as you want to take it. Now you mentioned about some women can be rough. I'll share one example. I remember I brought my mother and my nephews out to visit me out here in the Midwest. And I needed to take the car back to the airport. So I called a friend that I met. And she lived across the city. So she came and got me, took the car back. So I introduced her to my family. And as she was leaving, I had a friend come up. And she parked in front of the house next door. And she got out.
She said she.
This person had a different hairstyle. And she started walking up the sidewalk. I didn't realize who she was until she almost met me. Now my friend is biking out the driveway and she's looking at me. And I'm telling you, if looks could kill, I'd have been gone that day. When she got home, she called me. She said, "How dare you? How dare you have another woman?"
Oh, boy.
I came all the way across town. I said, "Listen, that's a friend of mine. I didn't know she was going to stop by. And that's the truth." And she just kept telling me, I'm lying. Well, I left that alone. I said, this woman hurt me.
Wow.
So, yes,
There you go.
you got some rough women out here, too.
You saw a sign and you reacted in a positive manner.
I saw that sign.
That was a red flag.
And whatever flag it was, the flag was waving. Stop. A lot of people see signs, they're talking about love is blind. No, a lot of people go into things with eyes wide open. They see that devil. But they're so greedy and so anxious that they believe they can convert the person, change the person, and that they're going to be happy. But when you see something,
a lot of times they keep giving them time after time. Okay, that's the first time it happened, but I'm gonna give you another chance. We've talked about it. I'm gonna give you another chance. No, goodbye.
Yeah.
Respect yourself enough.
And I keep talking about standards or having a list. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Having a list. Number one was respect.
Oh, wait, you got a list?
I had a list. Oh. Number one was respect.
Patricia.
No profanity. No alcohol. Respect for your parents. And treat me like a queen.
All right. Now.
There you go.
Those were my top 5. You must have a list. And you must stick to that list and demand that they stick to it or you're gone.
But see what you okay.
No.
Go ahead.
My list also had some. I was a little more specific. I was younger and probably sillier at that time, but I did have a few. I would have to find my list actually. But one of the things I know, I even put some physical attributes on it. Certain height requirements and stuff like that. Now, did it matter really in the long, in the big picture? If he was 6 feet tall or 5 feet tall, maybe, yes. But I even went as far as putting some physical attributes on there too. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I included some of those, but those were my major ones, my main ones.
And it must anything wrong with the list. I love the Lord. Okay. I don't think it's anything wrong with the list. I just think that because some women, some men as well, come up in certain environments. They have no compass. They have no reference point for standards. They have no reference point for how a man should treat me. That's why I would like for the men that are on the line, because I know, and I'm not exactly sure who all's in the studio, Patricia, but I know some of them in there. They are really upstanding men, and they are very educated, professional men.
Miss Moderator.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, but I kind of disagree with you on that point, because you're saying a lot of them don't have the moral compass or whatever.
Yeah.
Well,
some of them don't.
That's true to a certain extent, but these same ones who take and ruin these girls and women.
Yep.
They don't want them. They want to find somebody else of a higher caliber.
I know.
That's not the person that they're going to marry.
I know.
This is just
so
somebody
you're saying
to.
they will waste some time with somebody, time and energy.
Well, it's a waste of the woman's time, but they don't want them. They just want that quick fix.
It's not a waste of the man's time, because he's got another one somewhere else, and she thinks she's the only one.
Right. So the one that he's running around with and doing all this dirt with, he don't want to marry somebody like that. He wants somebody wholesome, somebody respectable.
Yeah, wholesome.
Yeah. He don't want that.
I can recall a sad story a young lady shared with me in counseling, and this is some years ago. So, but at any rate, she was saying she really loved this guy. And so she was like, well, he comes by, he gets here every night around 10. So, I'm listening. And I said, so what happens at 10? And, she painted the picture really nice. He's this, he's that, whatever. But he only showed up around 10. And she talked about in the daytime.
Maybe he was working. Maybe he was
He was in school. He was in school, and he did have a job.
Yeah.
But he also had a girlfriend that he was seen with in the daytime.
Oh.
And that he took to dinner, and he did this, that, and the other with.
Okay.
So she was the, 10 to whatever time.
Okay.
And unfortunately, she gave her heart and her soul and her body to him. She had a child for him. And that child grew up and resented her father and her mother.
Oh.
Her mother, because of the way she allowed the father to treat her.
Oh, okay. Now, were they married? I'm sorry. Did they get?
They never married.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
You see, the wedding is usually in the daytime. Just saying.
You didn't even.
At any rate,
you didn't even have to go there.
You can have a wedding anytime. Okay, I do know that.
You didn't have to go.
But I'm just the point is, yeah. There was a child, and the girl met her father twice in her life.
Oh, wow.
She met him when she was probably about 13. And the second time he saw her, she was not able to see him. He did show up at her funeral.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, wow. How sad.
That's a very sad story.
How sad.
My father and my parents taught me about one of the things is that if a man really loves you, likes you, whatever, he wants to be seen with you.
Absolutely.
He wants everybody to know this is his girl.
Absolutely.
Okay. And if you're not experiencing that, then that's one of the things. If you're not experiencing that, then he's probably not that into you.
He's not that into you. And if you get out of the car and he walks ahead of you by 20 paces, he's not into you. He's just not into you.
No, wait a minute now.
I'm telling you
wait
now.
A minute.
If he walks...
Yes, sir. Wait, sir.
Yes. He said, wait a minute.
Facilitator.
Wait.
Now, I agree with you, the majority of what you just said, but now there could be times in that that sometimes people want to keep a low profile until things take off, you know.
Whatever.
Wait, no.
No,
Sometimes,
I don't want to hear about no low profiling.
No. What I'm saying is some people.
Unless it's mutually
Yes,
agreed.
that's what I'm saying. They both come together and they say, listen, we want to make sure this is right before we put it out here.
Yeah.
And on Facebook and all these other places, you know.
Well, they don't need
so
to
let's
be going
take it
out
easy
together.
and build, and then we'll go.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's the exception to the rule now.
Okay.
I agree with what she said.
How long of a period? And I'm in agreement with you, but we need to kind of get a period in mind. Are you saying 2
Well, I'm
years?
not talking 10 years. No, I'm not talking 10 years. No.
Okay, just trying to make sure we're together.
I hear what you all are saying. I really, really do. But again, I will go back and say it depends on the type of man you want, and it depends on who you are. Because I know for myself, I am not. Well, it depends. It really depends.
Oh, let's hear this one.
It depends. It depends on the situation. If I decided I want to be with someone, want to get to know him, and I want to keep a low profile, there would be a reason that I would want to keep a low profile. But for the most part, if I'm agreeing and we've talked about it, we've known each other a little while, and we want to start going out and doing stuff, you walking 20 paces ahead of me because you want to keep a low profile, you won't have to worry about me anymore. Because unless we agreed upon that. I think if a woman is in...
Wait. I can't imagine a situation where I'd be walking 20 paces behind.
It has happened.
If we're going out together.
I tell you, I've done enough. I'm telling you, listen, let me tell you what happened. All right.
Okay, please.
This was a couple that were dating. And I think she thought they were dating. See,
there should be no misconception. There should not be any I'm sorry, go ahead.
You don't need to be on the show with me. But because you
I just got kicked out.
But listen. Okay, here's what was told. Here's what happened. She said they went out to eat. He took her out to eat and got out the car. They got out the car. I don't know if he opened the door for her or not. I don't remember.
He must not have if she's 20 paces behind.
They got out the car and he walked ahead of her as if they weren't together.
Okay, I'm trying to envision this. You're saying
they arrived in the same vehicle.
Oh no. Oh, but no.
And
something's wrong with that entire scenario. Really, it is.
Exactly. And so with the men on the line, it's like, okay, if you were really into a woman, I'm just not sure that's something you would do.
Well, not that. Indeed not. That's going too far. But what I'm saying is two people could agree, and you said it, you got to be on the same page. If you both agree, say, okay, we're going to take it easy. We're not going to tell anybody. And as it develops, then we'll share. But you two are in agreement.
So we're not going to tell anybody until we're sure that this is going to really go somewhere.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So you're not going to go to dinner or anything? I'm just trying to figure out.
Yeah, it'll be out of town or someplace, on the outskirts of the city. Because folk is everywhere.
Maybe the first three dates, right? Yeah, we're not talking about 6 months in, right?
No, we're not talking about that long term stuff. No.
Okay, just want to make sure that we're on the same page here.
Right. We are.
I was having some problems if we're dating for 6 months and we're driving there in the same car and going in separate doors.
But listen, we're making light of it, but there are people in that situation.
Wow.
Yes, ma'am. There are people in that situation. He is
in that situation, long term, is that on a serious note,
that's a red flag.
Okay,
that's a red flag.
Yeah, because I was like, wow, big red flag, red flag.
That's a red flag. And my thing
Matter of
is,
fact, there's some flares going on with that.
yeah,
flag,
there are a lot
just
of
saying.
flares. And my thing is, when do you get to the point where you say, okay, this person isn't for me? And my thing is to you is, a lot of women don't get to that point. They don't get to that point until they see him with somebody else, or they say, you know what, I suspect something's going on, and then they go creeping. You know, there used to be, I think, something in the song or something talk about going creeping. They go creeping to see if. So you need to
last week.
You need to get out of the street.
I'm getting put off the show, you guys. But anyway, last week you said something. The gentleman said, "Oh my, I lost my thought." That was because that creeping kind of overtook everything.
And be creeping. I'm telling you. You've never crept. You've never. Is it crept? It's not crept, is it? Have you ever creeped?
No.
Is it creeped?
No, it is crap, but we don't creep or crap around here.
You've never done that before.
It's just wrong.
Okay, so you've never gone out to see if you could find your man somewhere because you didn't think.
Oh no, I don't waste that kind of time. I don't have that kind of energy.
She said she's there.
No.
Some people creep. They creep.
No, I'm not gonna waste the gas, time, energy, whatever. If he can't be, that's called trust somewhere up in there. And for me to have to go creeping, I'm really saying I don't trust. There's something about this situation. There's some flags along the way, something that's made me not trust him. Mm-hmm. And I think that there has to be some trust. There has to be trust, period, in the relationship.
Well, I think
I gotta creep around and drive around to see if you're wherever.
Look who you talking to on your cell phone. You know what?
No.
I remember I had this conversation with somebody, and I just got a note that I need to end the show, and I hate to end the show because we're having so much fun, but I'm gonna have to end the show, everybody. But I had this conversation with somebody. They were all up in the air because somebody texted their husband. And it wasn't an ugly text. They text their husband. And the conversation went along the lines of, well, you text somebody else's husband all the time, asking about meetings and doing this all kind of stuff. And that person's wife don't get upset with you because they know their husband, and that they can trust their husband. Their husband is credible, and that what you're texting has nothing to is about business. And so some women cannot handle that. But like you mentioned, those women who are secure with themselves and they are secure in their men.
I will say,
because I'm gonna tell you about my mother.
Position. My husband's position
never
is
ever
one
went through my daddy's phone. She didn't. Mm-hmm. I never ever saw my mom go through my dad's phone because my mom, and I said, Mom, I never see you. You never. She said, that's because your father established credibility with me a long time ago. And I trust your dad. And I don't
trust.
And if his phone ring and if somebody on there, I don't have a problem with it because I trust him. And I know that he loves me. I said, wow, that's deep. That was deep to me.
And he did. Yes, he did.
Yeah, he did. He loved my mama.
So, there's an old saying, and this goes for both men and women, that a thief don't trust nobody.
Oh,
ooh! There you go.
Where do you come up with this stuff?
Why do you always do this at the end of the show too?
A thief don't trust nobody. That could be a song.
I think you're saving these just for the end of the show.
No.
I like that. Is that a song?
If you're running around,
it should be.
Women, if you're running around men, you're going to think that your partner is the same caliber that you are. So, as they say, a thief don't trust nobody. Mm-hmm. Someone that's always sneaky and, as you said, creeping and all this kind of stuff, they're going to think their partner is doing the same thing. So,
well, you have a point. That's a good point. But not saying that it's always true, but it's a good point.
It's about 90% true.
Because like on those shows, and I've seen commercials. I don't watch them because they're just too much for me. But you've seen those shows about people cheating, you know, the woman legitimately thinks something's wrong, something's off, something's not going right. I don't understand what's going on. And they may have children at home, and then they find out he's cheating. And she's at home with the kids, or sometimes it's not always she's cheating, but I do believe there's something maybe in their background, maybe where they came up, they saw their mother being cheated on or the father being cheated on, and they just feel like, you know, they're going to cheat on me. And that
Isn't
go ahead.
I was thinking when he said that, and the kind of, there's a phrase that used to be a song. I had to look it up.
Here we go with
Sweep around your own front door. You know, I don't know if that applies, but you know,
she says
it's like,
sweep around your own front
you know,
door.
look at yourself, kind of thing. You're right. I don't know.
You know, one last thing.
That's true.
One last thing.
Uh-huh.
As we grow and we develop, not only ourselves but with one another, we have to be careful too of jealousy, because when you get a good person, a lot of times people let jealousy interfere. Now, here's someone told me a long time ago. He says, now, if you're interested in her and she's a good and decent person, naturally somebody else is going to see that too.
That's a good point.
But because she's with you, you don't have that to worry about. He was saying, you really don't want someone that nobody else wants. Because if you have a good quality in you, someone else is going to see it too. But they don't say, okay, you like me too. Okay, meet me at 9 p.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays. You're going to remain faithful.
Wow.
So just remember, if you like the person, somebody else is probably going to like them too. But as long as the two of you are together and committed and faithful to one another, it's going to be all right, because they're going to turn that person down because they are committed to you.
That's a good point. And you know what? I just want to let you all know this has been so good. And we were talking about what a man wants. Did we ever find out?
No.
We did.
In a roundabout way, yes.
We went
in a roundabout way, we did. We looked at, you know, people that are not jealous. That's, you know, what we're really talking about, trustworthiness.
Yeah. And he also mentioned about coming up on the shore. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That octopus and crab. Yeah. So we had some good points this evening.
Yeah,
some very good points.
Yeah, some really, really good points. And I think the bottom line is, and we're gonna have to wrap this up. And you all have been just so wonderful. These comments have been great. And if there's anybody that had anything you wanted to say and you were not able to, we'll be back on by the grace on next week. You can join in the chat if you have some things that you want to say. If you can't be a part of it,
I think we need to do a part 2.
I do too, because I think there's a lot more that we really did not get into. So when we come back, we may touch a little bit more on this. But I just want to encourage everybody, just like the gentleman said, and he said it so wonderfully. He said, just be yourself. Just be yourself. When you were created uniquely. There's nobody else like you. So go and be great. Just be yourself. Don't let anyone try to change you. There's a reason why you're here. There were millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of sperm trying to get to that one egg. But you're here.
And in closing, Miss Facilitator,
so
Moderator.
Silly. Yes, sir.
So young ladies and young women should be taught their value, because they really hold the key.
They do. They hold the card.
They do.
They have a lot of power.
They have a lot of power.
Don't realize it.
And see, I don't think they realize that, though.
You don't have to do all these things. You don't have to jump through all these hoops.
No, you don't.
You don't have to take all these midnight drives and all these things.
Creep.
You have the power. And again, if young ladies and women would learn not to reward behavior,
bad behavior,
there'll be a whole lot of changing in men and boys.
But
do not reward bad behavior.
That's true. And you're so right. I just heard a guy just the other day. He was talking about, women, stop doing these things. Stop doing this. He was saying, don't sleep with a guy on the first night, the second night. He said, if you want him to be around for a longer time, then you need to have some standards. And if you don't know what standards are, go look it up. There's a lot of stuff on YouTube. There's a lot of stuff on the internet, or just listen to this show. We will tell you how to get the man that you want. But not only that, how to be a lady, that men are looking for, because I cannot tell you how many conversations I've had with men who are saying, you know what, it's hard for me to find a quality woman now. I've been looking and can't find one. I'm like, you're kidding. And if I do find one, they're already in a relationship, or they're already married, or they're too busy, and they're just having a difficult time. It used to be that women had the difficult time. Now men are having a difficult time as well. And we've already shared that there are 65 million more men in the world now than there are women. So men are having troubles too. So we're just encouraging you, be yourself, be great. And you know what? Find out what your purpose is. Another guy said it. Oh man, he said the reason he married his wife was because she seemed so happy. She seemed so content, and he was so attracted to that. She wasn't mad, didn't always have a mad look on her face. She wasn't one of those angry women that was angry at men for all the wrong that all the other men had done in their lives. And he was so attracted to her behavior and the way she dressed. She didn't dress really provocative. Thank you, bestie. She didn't dress provocative. Okay, who's playing music? It sounds like a harmonica.
Sounds like a horn, car horn.
It did. But she didn't do that. She didn't dress like that or act like that, and he loved that about her, and he married her.
I'm going to say too, as one of my final comments, quality stands out. And I'll tell you a quick story.
It does.
I was at my church one day, and this gentleman had begun to come to our church for a few weeks. And he came to me and he asked me if I knew any good quality Christian women.
Mm.
And, he was really asking about someone in our church family. Mm-hmm. And I told him, I said, I have a friend who's at the other church. Mm-hmm. And the other church was a little larger and everything. And I said, really a good quality Christian woman, nice looking lady. I never said more than that. I said, oh, I'm sorry. As far as who she was, I said, if you'd like, I'll have a dinner and I'll invite you over and then you guys can meet. As a matter of fact, I'll just have a group of people over.
It's cute.
And so he said, okay, thank you. Mm-hmm. I would like to let you know that he went over to the church that Wednesday night. He didn't come to our church. He went to that church. And he met her. He didn't have her name. He didn't have anything other than what I just told you, a good quality Christian woman. He literally went over and met her. And he courted her. I know that's an old word, but in his case, it fit.
Yeah, they might not know what court means.
Well, he wooed her. All those old words apply in this situation.
He wooed her. He courted her.
He really did. And they eventually got married. This was for him his second marriage. His first marriage, the wife had died. He had 2 adult children and another child in the home who was a minor. So I'm trying to give you that he wasn't 20. But he was looking for a good quality woman. And he told me later, I says, well, what made you pick her out? He says, well, you said a good quality Christian. And she just stood out. She stood out.
They do stand out. A lot of quality women do stand out.
Yeah. Because he said he just sat there and he looked and he said it was, I was like, wow, that's deep.
That is deep. You know what? I so want us to continue. I think you were right about us continuing this, and that's what we're going to do. That is powerful. Quality stands out. So remember, quality does stand out. And if you're looking for a good man, if you're looking for a high net worth man, if you're looking for a man who's got value and he really wants to take care of a woman and take care of a family, there's certain qualities that men are looking for. The man last week said, I wanted to know that she would be a good mother to my children. I was like, you were thinking?
Isn't that something?
Yes.
But he could see that, is what he said.
Yeah.
He could see that. When he first met her, he saw joy. Yes. And he saw, I was like, wow.
He did.
And young man.
And guess what she was doing? She was going on about her business. She didn't even know. I don't even think she knew.
Notice him at that moment.
She was going on about her business. She didn't even know. She was like, "Oh, he's always aggravating me." I couldn't understand why he was always aggravating me. But she was in school. She was continuing her education in college. She was doing her thing. And you know what she said? She said, "I was just as content as I could be. I was very content with myself." And he found her just like that. So I want to talk about this again. My bestie keeps sending me notes telling me I need to be quiet and we need to go. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to get ready to go.
It's been a joy.
It has. So I'm going to let her go ahead and take us away.
Well, actually, I've given my final comments. However, we are looking forward to seeing you next week, same time. And each week, if you notice, we're cutting down that time on getting it together. We're going to just kind of kick that devil to the curb and hopefully start right at 7. Looking forward to seeing you.
We are looking forward to seeing you. And if you have questions or if you like what you've heard and you want to help us, because it takes time and it takes money to put things like this on, go to our description below. There's a lot of information there. There's a note to the ladies. Go ahead and check that note out. And by the grace, we will see you right here on next week. And to all the guys that are in the studio, thank you so much. You all are the best. Thank you so much for being here for us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And for Miss Shirley, oh my goodness, she has some awesome wisdom. She has been married.
Oh my goodness.
She has some awesome wisdom. If you want to know how to get a man and keep a man, that's the one you need to be talking to, because she knows how to do it, hands down. And guess what, bestie? Guess what? She knows how to cook.
Yes, she does. Throw down.
What's that saying? What is it? How does it go? The way to a
man's heart
is through his stomach. Well, honey, she got him and she snapped him and took him off the market. And so if you want to learn how to do that, you need to be here on the show. Thank you all so much for joining us. And by the grace, we will see you next week. Same time, same place. Have a wonderful evening and be the best
Bye.
you can be. Bye.